Ignorance is bliss, they said. Wish I'd bought into that. Everything that happened... Truth. What's truth? They said the radiation caused it. They said they found a vaccine even. If only they knew. If only they knew the truth back then, maybe we could have stood a better chance. Maybe this world'd still be something. Maybe we could even saved more. We'll never know. We'll never know. It all started 40 years ago. Year 2020. Pandemic. Virus spread across the world. Almost 1 million people lost their lives initially. They thought they had a vaccine for that. Unknowingly, it did more. Everybody always thought that the zombies came from the fallout, from the nuclear bomb launch, during all the chaos. It's not what happened though. Apparently, there's more to it. I'd heard a rumor a couple of states back. There was actually a doctor still in Nav's game. He knew some information that might be helpful. Something that could tell us where it all started, maybe. I tracked him down. Trying to get to Nav's game, though, was a challenge. The whole entire county was surrounded by fallout from the radiation. Nav's game became ground zero for the first quarantine patient, supposedly. We don't know what happened, but they locked the whole county down. Most of the major cities. Everything we knew was a lie. Eventually, nuclear missiles were launched. We didn't know what caused it. They said it was Russia. Some people said it was China. Some even said North Korea. But no one knew because a full-out retaliation happened. All the major world powers struck back. I was able to make it through some of the weaker radiation areas to north part of Navasgate, up in the mountains. The last information I had was Dr. Ogden was in a cabin not far south from me. As I made it through the radiation, I found what the roadblock was about, warning people to stay out. Could have laughed at that. Poor effort. This place seemed to be deserted. I didn't seem to notice anybody around, except for the dead. I hate the dead. They've been plaguing me for the last 40 years or more now. I can't even get by. These times, they're horrible. I was getting hopeful. I knew I was getting close. The map said it was only another mile or two down the road. It seemed like there was animals everywhere though. It's one thing I noticed. Seemed like all of them had been held in together, nothing to eat, starving, ravaging each other. They were wild, alright. I had my fair share run-in with a few. A couple of bears, cougars. I was hoping I could find Ogden. He had the key I needed. Not literally, but figuratively. Hopefully he was here. But it didn't look like it. I remember pulling up to the cabin. Looked like it'd been ransacked already. I had no hope of finding Ogden. We had to do something. I remember walking up, seeing the damage and carnage had been done. Looked horrible. I didn't know if anybody could survive. Hopefully he did, or left a clue to where he went. Somewhere. It didn't look like anybody was home though, for sure. It was empty, cold, barren, lifeless. Didn't even see the undead were walking. But I looked upon the perfect items. I found some stuff that helped to figure out the clues. Whatever caused Ogden to bug out, I don't know. But I found his notes, and it started making a little bit more sense. Apparently, at Nav's gang, people started going missing. It started years and years before 2020. It seemed as if one or two here, then the numbers started increasing. Ogden was onto it. Apparently he'd found information. Maybe he worked for the company that was part of it. I don't know. But I had to find Ogden to find out more. That was also the day I found out how ravenous the wolves were. All because of a bear. I'll never forget that. Besides the wolves and the bears, the mountain lions, you had the undead. So far I hadn't ran into a lot. I was hoping they would have been better, being this far out from the zone. Maybe some of them had disappeared, maybe somebody killed most of them or they starved to death. I was hoping it wasn't going to be bad. I was in for a world of hurt. I scavenged what I could from the animals, getting some hide and some meat for later. I didn't have much food on me, so I was worried about finding rations. I left Ogden's, heading on the map. Apparently there was a trader that had a little bit more information. She could help me out, figure out what was going on. Maybe she knew Ogden, I don't know. I was hoping I could get some more information about what was going on around this place. Because so far, things weren't heading up. I hadn't found anybody. As I continued on my way, a storm blew in, making it almost impossible to see. I was worried about running into animals, zombies, anything. It didn't want to break down out in the middle of nowhere. So I had to take it slow. I had to find a better path to go, so I took some side roads, heading to the trader shop. Maybe Jen had that information, maybe not. But I had to figure out what was going on, where everybody was. This place was supposed to have been locked down. There's supposed to have been soldiers stationed here. I hadn't found anything contrary to that. It's been a tough travel, tough road, even tougher by myself. Then I had to deal with all this. I was going to get to the bottom of it. I knew I would. Just not like this. I finally made it out of the mountains. I knew I was getting close. The signs all pointed to it. This place, though, was even more deserted than the rest. The only thing I've been seeing, though, is a lot more zombies starting to pick up. These roads, though, they were a little bit clearer. At least the weather, well, it got somewhat better. Continued on my journey, heading towards Jen's, thinking about Ogden, what he knew, where would he go. Based on the information I found back at his cabin, it looked like he knew a ranger that worked close to the trader. Maybe he decided to hold up with him, I don't know, but it looked like he used that trader Jen a lot, so maybe she had some information and seen him lately. I only could hope. Seemed like the further I got into Navsgain County, the more and more undead I saw. They're all over. I was hoping that once I got to the trader, though, things would calm down. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I should have known. It isn't an apocalypse and all. As I pulled up, I noticed she had an uninvited guest outside. This would have to be dealt with before I went in. You can't have those guys running around. It's a damn undead for crying out loud. Back then, in my younger days, it was easy. You just walk right up, slam him with a bat. That's all it took. These old age days of mine relied too much on a gun. Ammo's hard to come by. Back then it was just fun, especially burning them son of a bitches. Back then it was fun. Now it's just monotonous. I could only hope that she gave out rewards for cleaning up after things. Seems fitting. I didn't know anything about Jen. I just knew she's a trader from the notes. I really wish I had more. When I walked in there, I wasn't expecting this.
We've got the best prices in the wasteland.
When I first set eyes on her, I was a little dumbfounded. She's the most beautiful woman I'd seen in this apocalypse. And believe me, there weren't many around. I had to ask her for information to find out she'd seen Ogden.
If I had a duke for every time someone was just looking, I'd be as rich as Trader Joel.
She spilled the goods. She was a nice lady. Can I say, I charmed the pants off of her. She told me, well, what I needed to know. Jen told me that Ogden came to her several months earlier, looking for a place to stay. He said some armed militia people had been coming around, and he was worried for his safety. She told me an old ranger station just east of the trader shop. You could walk through the woods. It was pretty secluded. The road, though, there was treacherous. We had to drive through a lot of the bad areas. Apparently, after the fallout and the nuclear bomb dropped, a lot of inner squabbling has started. Right-wing and left-wing militia groups formed. Everybody from underneath the sun came out trying to find a claim, trying to exist some sort of power that they could find. There was none really to be had. The dead had all the power. They just wouldn't die. Because of all this squabbling, it's too easy to get distracted with everything else going on. Getting stuck fighting a zombie, next thing you know, you got militia. The only worst thing is a horde, a ravenous, hungry horde. I remember heading back down the road. Jen said there'd be a lake up ahead. I'd pass some other stuff. Then there'd be a road up a mountain, small little hill. That's where that tower would be. Maybe Ogden. Who knew? Jen said she hadn't seen Ogden in a couple of weeks. Said everything's been quiet up at that tower. I'm hoping he's still there. Only thing I could think of is either the militia finally caught up with him, or maybe some zombies got him. Who knows? Maybe he even took off again. If it was the militia, I'm gonna have to find their track quick. Jen said the last time she saw him in these parts was months ago. With Ogden disappearing only weeks ago, it's not likely it was them. He could have got word though they're heading for him. Who knows? So it's either find Ogden or find this militia group, wherever the trail leads. I don't know, I look back on those days and I was a different man. I had a mission, I had drive. Seems like that drive's gone now. Back then I was reckless, not a care in the world. Too many mistakes I made, too many bad decisions. I always seem to find myself in a lot of pickles and troubles. I look back on that day, driving up to that tower. I didn't know what to expect. Call it age, I don't know. I seemed to think that I was going to get lucky and find him right off the bat. I didn't know. I thought maybe he'd hunkered down, decided to like fortify himself maybe. I would have done the same. When I pulled up there, the only thing there was nothing. Just dead. So many zombies around that place. More than I'd seen in a while. Things are starting to get worrisome. See, on the other side of the radiation barrier in most states, they'd been cooled down, thinned out a little bit. Humanity was starting to make an effort to grow back. But here in the aftermath of it all, in Nav's game, it seemed like it was still worse. I remember walking along that perimeter, looked like all the damage from the zombies that had been trying to get in. But looking at the signs and tracks, didn't look like anybody had been here. Not Ogden, not militia, not anybody, unless they covered their tracks. Hopefully, something was up there. I remember as I walked around that perimeter, I must have found at least 3 or 4 more zombies walking around. That's alarming when you're out in the middle of the wilderness. These woods, they're just wandering. That means they've come out of the city because they're hungry. There's nothing in the city for them to eat. They're going to ravage this landside. I kept hearing things. I was getting nervous. I guess, again, youth on my side. I was getting kind of antsy. I decided to go ahead and try to break in. I thought maybe Ogden was sitting up there listening to all this, not knowing what to do. The more I looked around, I became doubtful. I'll never forget, though, that first fatal mistake I made. Not being prepared. Just a simple zombie, I thought. No big deal. For some reason, though, she's a little bit hungrier than the rest. She almost bit me. That would have been an infection. That would have been death. That day was my wake-up call. I had to learn quick. Caution. That's what I needed. I didn't stop there. Things just weren't going my way. I looked around the site and found a lot of construction materials looked like had been stockpiled. I think Ogden had a plan, but something happened that stopped it. So I climbed around. I began to wonder. I remember how just unsturdy it was. I almost fell a couple of times. The thing was going. Everything seemed to be in order, but nothing looked like it'd been here for a while. It's almost like Ogden had broke out the steps himself, or something else had. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, you find a locked door. You don't think anything would be behind it, do you? I figured out real quick the noise I was making. If there was anything in there, I sure was waking it up. The only thing I could think about was Ogden wasn't here. Where was he? As I looked around, I remember seeing an advanced antenna on the roof. I think Ogden had found some friends. Maybe he got help. Maybe they came and picked him up. The only thing that excited me at this point was maybe there was another clue. I don't know. I know that a lot of them had come up here and stayed in Ogden's old place for some reason. Apparently there was a hole in that window on the other side. They climbed up. I'm thinking they got trapped up here, didn't know what else to do. I continued looking around, but still, something wasn't feeling right. I did find his terminal and noticed that he had sent out a message exactly 2 weeks ago. I kept looking around, and then it dawned on me, I didn't look up. Like I said, talking about those times in the early days of living in Navezgane, I had to learn quickly. It was a lot more dangerous than everybody told you it was. I was so cush and used to the rest of the world where we cleaned up a lot of this crap, only to come to Navezgane and find out that it's just like it was from the beginning, but worse. I found out that he'd sent a message though. At least that gave me something. The coordinates looked like it called to a place called Dyersville. I checked the map. I'd figured out where it was. Now I had a new location, a new spot, another lead. I felt like this was going to be never ending now. I'd just gotten into it and it already felt like I was knee deep, sinking, grasping for air. I don't know. Dyersville, why would he go there? I have no idea. We're going to find out. Maybe it was an emergency call, maybe something he could help with. I don't know. But I knew I had to go there, so that's where I headed next. Little I didn't know what happened in Dyersville. It was another bad spot. It was another life lesson. It seems like this journey was nothing but life lessons. Make me who I am today, maybe. A better, sullen man. What I can tell you, though, is this story is far from over. It's only the beginning. Everything that ever happened back then all led to the moment we're at right now. But you gotta know your past to understand your future. That's why I'm telling you this story. Because the decision we have to make, I don't know if I can make it alone.